Right now, you can close your eyes and relive a random Tuesday from 3 years ago. A conversation, a smell, the exact way the light hit a window. Somehow your brain reconstructs a moment that no longer physically exists anywhere in the universe except inside your own head. You've probably assumed a memory works like a saved photo, sitting quietly in some mental folder, waiting to be opened exactly as it was filed. But the real answer is far stranger because every time you remember something, you're not opening a photo, you're quietly rewriting it. Start with the basics. Your brain runs on roughly 86 billion neurons, each one connected to thousands of others, communicating through tiny electrical and chemical signals firing across gaps called synapses. When you experience a moment, whether it's a conversation, a smell, or a sudden shock, a specific pattern of neurons activates together, scattered across different regions handling vision, sound, emotion, and language all at once. Canadian psychologist Donald Hebb proposed something decades ago that still guides how scientists understand this process today. Neurons that fire together wire together. When two neurons activate at the same time repeatedly, the connection between them physically strengthens. They become, in a sense, more likely to activate together again in the future. This simple rule is the foundation your entire memory system is quietly built on. But here's the problem your brain immediately runs into. It cannot treat every single moment as equally important. If it did, you'd be paralyzed trying to remember everything, from what you ate for breakfast to the exact pattern of cracks on a sidewalk you walked past once. So your brain constantly runs something like a competition. Multiple patterns of neural activity compete for dominance at any given moment, and whichever pattern wins gets flagged by your brain as worth remembering. This is where a small, seahorse-shaped structure deep inside your brain becomes essential. The hippocampus. Neuroscientist Eric Kandel, whose research on memory formation eventually earned him a Nobel Prize, helped reveal how this structure acts almost like a librarian, creating a rough index connecting different pieces of a single experience together, so they can later be reactivated as one unified memory. Notice what's actually happening here. A memory isn't stored as one single object sitting in one location. It's stored as a pattern, a specific set of neural connections spread across your brain that, when reactivated together, recreate the feeling of that original moment. Here's the twist that should genuinely unsettle you a little. That freshly formed memory is incredibly fragile. Without reinforcement, it fades almost immediately. This is why you can't remember what you had for lunch 6 Tuesdays ago. Your brain simply decided it wasn't worth the biological investment of making that pattern permanent. So what actually makes a memory stick? Three things mostly. Novelty grabs your brain's attention because unexpected events historically signaled something worth learning from. Repetition physically strengthens the connections through repeated activation, similar to wearing a path into grass by walking the same route again and again. And emotion, perhaps the most powerful of the three, floods your brain with chemical signals essentially shouting that whatever just happened matters for your survival, regardless of whether it actually does. This explains something strange about your own memory. You probably can't recall a random Tuesday from years ago in vivid detail, but you can probably recall, instantly and completely, an embarrassing moment from childhood, or the day something devastating happened, or the exact feeling of a first major heartbreak. Your brain wasn't being cruel by keeping those memories so vivid. It was following ancient rules built long before modern life existed, prioritizing anything that felt emotionally significant enough to potentially matter for your survival. Sleep plays a surprisingly critical role in locking these patterns into place. While you sleep, your hippocampus essentially replays the day's important patterns over and over, strengthening the connections further. Skip enough sleep and you're not just tired the next day, you're quietly erasing pieces of your own life before they ever had the chance to fully form. Here's where things get genuinely strange though. Once a memory is locked in, you'd assume it stays fixed like a photograph in a drawer. It doesn't. Every single time you recall a memory, the neurons involved become temporarily unstable again, chemically capable of change, before locking back into place. Neuroscientist Karim Nader's research on memory reconsolidation demonstrated something remarkable. The simple act of remembering something makes that memory vulnerable to being altered, blended with your current mood, updated with new information, or subtly reshaped by the context you're in at the moment you're remembering it. Think about what that means for a story you've told 100 times. The version you tell today probably isn't the version that happened. It's been quietly rewritten again and again each time you dragged it back out of storage. Not because you're lying, because remembering itself is an editing process, not a playback function. This explains why two people who witnessed the exact same event can later recall wildly different versions of what happened, both completely convinced they're remembering it accurately. Neither is necessarily lying. Both are simply victims or beneficiaries of a memory system that was never built to preserve perfect accuracy. It was built to help you learn, adapt, and keep updating your understanding of the world as your life continues to unfold around you. Here's the modern mirror hiding inside all of this. You probably think of your memories as the unshakable foundation of who you are, a fixed personal history you can always trust completely. But your identity is actually built on something closer to wet clay than solid stone, continuously reshaped every single time you revisit your own past. This isn't necessarily bad news. It's actually why therapy, journaling, or simply retelling a painful memory in a safer context can genuinely change how that memory feels to carry, because you're not just talking about the past. You're quietly rewiring it one recollection at a time. So the next time you close your eyes and relive a memory in perfect, vivid detail, remember what's actually happening underneath the surface. You're not opening an old photograph. You're gently reshaping warm wax, changing it slightly every single time you touch it. Right now, you can close your eyes and relive a random Tuesday from 3 years ago. Now you know that memory isn't the same one you originally lived. It's the version your own mind has quietly been rewriting ever since.